Check 1 2, check 1 2. Y'all didn't have to get quiet this early. It's 7:06. We're going to let a few stragglers come in. If you've just joined us, please turn your phones to either vibrate or off so that everybody can be heard adequately, please. All right, first of all, can everyone hear me? If you're here, raise your hand. If you're not here, raise your hand. Okay, if we can have this man escorted out, Rick, we appreciate it. Okay. We talk about things in the aisles of Walmart. We talk about them in the morning, sitting, getting our eggs and our biscuits at Dairy Queen. We're going to have a little sit down and talk about this thing called a data center. We'll try and dispel some rumors. Is everybody hearing that echo? Okay. It'll go away here in just a minute. Before we do anything else, though, we want to take this time to say thank you to the Bell Theater for allowing me to have this in here. Appreciate this venue. Thank you to those who will be speaking tonight. And we are going to give you an opportunity to speak as well. I'll tell you about that here in just a moment, okay? I'm going to show you some drone video of the area that has been cleared thus far, okay? And I'll kind of explain it as it goes along. You can't see, I meant to post this, but you can't see it due to the chairs that are here, but this is the area from the Bell Jellicoe Road entrance, okay? Bell Jellicoe Road entrance. And then there's a second half of this video that goes from the edge of a property of an individual who lives in that area the other direction. So give me a second to get that taken care of, turn off this echo, and they'll be ready to go. And we've got a few speakers. One's going to be joining us by phone, and I'll tell you about why that's happening here in just a minute. Everybody's so quiet. Would you like me to turn the lights out so you can see this better? Yes? Okay, just a second here. If nothing else, I'm getting my exercise tonight. Is it cool enough in here for you? Did anybody melt today? We'll turn these lights back on after the video. All right, everybody see that okay? Okay. There's no special music with it or any narrative. I was just going to do that myself. Now, where I've taken off from, I will say this. In all the time that I've been covering things here in the 18 years, this is my first, hey man, what you doing here? I was on county property when I took off from this particular vantage point. This is approximately 1,185 acre tract that Murray Industries LLC currently owns. Don't we have beautiful landscape here in Bell County? And as I said, this is about a maybe, I don't think it's a mile, but about 3/4 of a mile stretch of this particular road. This is Bell Jellicoe Road. And when I fly, I go kind of slow on purpose so that people can kind of take in the scenery here. The smoke that's coming, who live not too terribly far, the smoke doesn't look too bad from the air, but for those folks who live around the area, the smoke was pretty congesting. I know that some folks had used a particles per million meter, and it was way off the chart. As I'm flying over, you can see, why do I feel like we're at Dollywood doing this? Off to your left is where Dolly made her first song. No, you can see the power lines going across the property. Would those be the power lines that will be tapped into? As of right now, I think what they've applied for this time last year would be considerably larger than that. And again, this is from if you're trying to get your bearings, you go down 92, you pass Brooks Tires, and it's not too terribly far from there off to your right. There's a Bell Jellicoe branch, and then there's Bell Jellicoe Road. This is Bell Jellicoe Road. Is this a public road? That's a great question. When I went through the, hey, what are you doing here phase, the individual took no time in telling me that that was not someplace I needed to be, and that's why I was on county property. I do not know, honestly, if this is part of it's a gravel road, so I wouldn't imagine that it would be part of the Bell County roads, but I am not the person to make that statement. Now, I haven't gone all the way down. I just wanted to go halfway and show you. That's not even that particular area is not even the size of a football field, unless you smashed it down like a pancake a little bit. But the small things on the screen there, those are trucks. So you can see about how high we are. And then we'll come in here in just a minute or two. This is about a 6-minute video, I think. Yeah, 6 minutes and, I'm sorry, a little over 6 minutes. This is just so you can see what they've cleared thus far, okay? And then I believe I'll be fading out into the next scene, and I'll give you an idea of what we're looking at there. I think only a few people have seen it from this particular vantage point. Raise your hand if you have seen it firsthand because you live in that area. Okay? Put your hands down for just a minute. We're going to ask a few questions of everybody here in the audience shortly. Because I think when you have a forum, you got to understand who it is that's being represented by the people in the community. So we're getting to the point where the next section of the video will be showing up, and it's pretty easy to find. I'm not encouraging anybody to go down there. I do know that the equipment has been removed. The individual who cleared the land made a post on a post on a post that said that, quote unquote, phase 1 is finished. Now, this is from the Bell Jellicoe Branch Road side. An individual who has property fairly close to this has allowed me to stand on his property, not theirs, and take video from this angle. And you can see, you know, the smoke that came from that, which you can, if you look further down the road there, that was going into people's homes in the area. Raise your hand if you had smoke in your home because of this clearing. Couple, 3 or 4 there. You're looking at just about another 2 minutes. This seems to be the widest section that we're coming up on right now. If you've ever been down any of these roads on an ATV, raise your hand. Whoa. Fished down in that area, hunted down in that area, just enjoyed the view down in that area. Okay. So you got a pretty good idea of the landscape that's being affected by what Dale Murray said was going to be, and these are his words, not mine, a closed-loop system. We'll explain all that here in just a minute to the best of my ability. Now, I have several people here that are much smarter than I am, which would be anybody with a second-grade reading level. And then we just turn around and go back the same way, and I'll wrap this up in about a minute and a half. So again, it's not a huge area, and I think there is a couple of misconceptions that this is going to be what's known as a hyperscale data center, and it doesn't appear that that's going to be able to sustain that size. Now, here's the catch to this. With 1,185 acres, there's a whole lot of space to expand. And we do have some news within the last 12 hours we're going to share with you here in a few minutes. Not 12, 6 hours. That's a little bit closer there. I didn't want to get into the power lines, but you can see there's a vehicle coming down. That's the gentleman who may or may not have been clearing the land. All right, so does everybody get the idea? Just give me a yes? Yes. Okay, great. I'm going to stop it because the last 30 seconds is just more of that. Let me get the screen back up here. Okay, so while we're waiting for the screen to raise, if you are from Bell County, Kentucky, raise your hand. Okay? If you are, well, that would be everybody. I was told that there was going to be some folks here from Tennessee and Virginia, so do we have any folks here from Tennessee? One person, thanks for being here, representing the entire state of Tennessee. Do we have anybody here from Virginia? Thank you, appreciate that. Anybody else here from Virginia? Okay. And is there anybody from any other place that I haven't mentioned? All right, let me get these lights back on here. Kind of a one-man band tonight. Hope nobody minds too much. All right. So basically 90, what is it? I missed one? Oh, okay. Did I miss somebody from not around this area? Anybody? Okay. 2 people like, we don't want to be acknowledged. Okay. So here in just a minute, I'm going to call Senator Scott Maiden. Scott came to the station today. He wanted to be here, but did everybody see the flooding that took place across Kentucky this last weekend? 4 people losing their lives. He was called back into emergency session for funding to make sure that some cleanup could be done. So that's why he can't be here in person. Also, I invited Representative Adam Bowling, but he had something already scheduled for the last 9 months. He does send his well wishes. I'll be speaking to, here in just a few minutes, our Judge Executive-elect, Mr. Rick Nelson. We have an advocate here in Emily Diaz. We also have a few other folks here. If you are a Bell County elected official, please stand up and at least be recognized that you're here wanting to be a part of what we're doing. Bell County elected official. Thank you. Now, I didn't say any of that to put them on the spot. Raise your hand if you were at, I'm all into raising hands here tonight. I do that when I go and read at the schools. Raise your hand if you had seen or were present at the 109 board hearing. The 109 board hearing. Okay, nothing was accomplished in that hearing, in my personal opinion. It was yelling, screaming. One person would talk, another one would get triggered over here, and that person would trigger this guy over here. Nothing was done. So what I would like, I feel like we're all civilized human beings, and I thought everybody, if you were at the fiscal court meeting just recently, raise your hand. If you were at the fiscal court meeting, keep your hands up, keep your hands up. I want to show you something. Just letting you know that if this many people showed up at every fiscal court meeting, you would not believe the things that could get done in your community. Okay, put your hands down. I thought everybody handled themselves with pretty good decorum. That's what I'd like to happen here. I have 2 microphones set up, okay? We're also streaming this live for the folks who couldn't make it on YouTube and Facebook. Now, I said all that to say this. I'm going to give you time to speak, although I thought a lot of folks really spoke from the heart. I think there were some facts that were put out, and there was some misinformation that was put out. I'm going to try and clear up a little bit of that. Now, just because I'm clearing up information does not mean in any shape, form, or fashion that I condone the data center or condemn the data center. This is a forum just to provide you with information. Is that okay with everyone? Okay. And then the what's next phase. The what's next. So I can tell you today, thanks to some organizations or organizational skills of some of our elected officials, there will be an a special called meeting. Emergency is different. Special called meeting this Thursday at 11 o'clock for the second reading of the moratorium. Okay, second reading. Now, how this works is there's got to be a majority who are going to be voting for it, okay? The magistrates are the one doing the vote. If there's a tie, it's left up to the judge executive to break the tie. 10 days after that second reading, it gets published. Would have been nice if we could have had it on Wednesday tomorrow, but there wasn't enough time to get the 24-hour notice in. So it goes into the paper and then becomes law, for the lack of a better word, okay, the law of the land. As of right now, the moratorium sits at 2 years. This, we believe, will, when I say we, the powers that be is probably a better way to say it, because I'm just radio guy, media guy. I am not a part of making any decisions for the county, so please make sure that you know that. And this is held through the station. This is not held with the condoning of the fiscal court, although we have some of them here. Just have to be clear about that. So with all of that said, I'll give you some time to speak if you plan on speaking. If there's anybody who does plan on speaking that I have not spoken to already, you do not have to sign in. Just when you get up to the microphone, you can say your piece, okay? With that said, are there people here that want to feel like you're going to be speaking tonight? Anybody that would like to speak? Do you feel like you're going to? I'm not putting you on the spot right now, just so I know ahead of time. Is there anybody who will be speaking? We've got one in the back here, one down here, one here. Okay. Also, when a speaker comes up, if you would do me a favor, let's say they say something that you don't agree with. understand that everybody has their opinion. I get that the developer put himself out there at the fiscal court meeting. Not necessarily well received, of course, because he's the developer, but let's be respectful to one another. Does everybody agree to be respectful to anyone who's speaking on the microphone? Okay, thank you very much in advance for that. Okay, so I'm going to ask that our judge executive-elect, Rick Nelson, come up first. That will give me the opportunity to get to the phone and to call our Senator, Scott Maiden, and hear from him. Everybody okay with what I've said so far? Okay, this is your forum as much as it is mine, so we'll do that. Mr. Nelson, if you would come up on stage, please.
Brian, over here or there?
Kind of putting him on the spot a little bit, aren't I? All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I'm here. First of all, I want to compliment all of you. They say sometime where there's smoke and there's fire. Coach Mike Parker said that a long time ago, I believe. But I just happen to think if those folks hadn't been burning, would we have been where we are now? So I think it's a good thing, even though it hurts some of you, Mindy, and down on 92. If we hadn't had that fire, we may have not known this was going on to a long time down the road, maybe unable to stop it. I'm here to give you an encouragement because I was very impressed with the speakers that you all had at the fiscal court meeting. Tiffany Treese, excellent job. And Tiffany, if you're here today, if you got 99 that supports you and one that doesn't, don't worry about that one, because we all get in that trap, don't we? We want 100%. And the folks, if you didn't speak the other day, you were there giving these other folks support. Now, moving forward, trying to get this thing passed, and then see what the next step is. A lot of times, these big corporations will try to wait you out. They will say, if we stretch this out a little bit more, they'll get tired. But I can tell you that folks where I live in Middlesboro, they're against this too, and they consider you their neighbor. You know, if it happens on 92, a person in Middlesboro or Pineville ought to be just as worried about it as you would worry about them, because we're all Bell Countyans. So what I hope will happen when this passes tomorrow, I hope that it's put in the paper next Thursday. It will become law of Bell County, and then we'll have to wait and see what the other side does, because it's like a checker game, and that's a bad analogy. We're making our moves, and we've got to wait and see what their moves are. And I hope they will say this is not the place to be, but for some reason they picked Bell County out, and I don't know the reasons and everything for the data center. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. I know that's not much, maybe not what you want to hear or anything, but I'm very impressed with how you handled yourself at the fiscal court meeting. You made some very good points on things, and I just want to say thank you for that. And again, I'm opposed to it, and there's nothing much I can do about it right now, but I'm going to stand with you when the time comes now or in the future. So I thank you so much. Okay?
Appreciate Mr. Nelson being here. I'm going to make a little adjustment to our microphone here. Okay. All right, on with us right now via telephone is Mayor Scott Maiden. Mayor. I'm so used to saying that from when he was mayor of Pineville. Senator Scott Maiden, and Senator, you and Representative Adam Bowling were planning on doing some legislation about data centers in the state of Kentucky. Can you enlighten us on that?
Well, the House did pass a bill last session. Can they hear me, Brian?
Yeah, they can hear you.
Okay. The House did pass a bill, of course, like Rick said there Friday, when it got to us. It was at the end of the session, in the budget session, and of course it didn't get passed. And I guess if we had known how important everything is now, I mean, I've just been reading some stuff since I've been in Frankfurt. There's over 30 actual applications out in Kentucky right now where people are trying to open these data centers. So I'm sure we would have probably would have had a whole lot more chance of getting passed. But I think I told Brian earlier today, the state of Kentucky's had a AI data center task force for 2 years. The year before I got down here, then in 2025. And normally when you have a task force, you come out with legislation to pass, and they never passed anything, and it was simply because they didn't understand. I mean, there's so much that people don't know about these things, and most of it's just now coming to light, and it's kind of like we're behind the 8 ball. Everybody said, well, they passed an incentive bill. Well, there was 27 states that passed that same incentive bill in 2025, because I'm sure most of you are like me, and all you've ever heard is we've got to win the AI war against China and all these countries. Well, there's 4,400 AI data centers in the United States, and the top 11 data centers in foreign countries have only got like 1,100, and China's not the number one. United Kingdom is. So we're by far winning the AI data center race, whatever that means, that we need to win that race. I had to ask Brian today. I said, Brian, I hate that. It sounds so stupid, but really I mean, we know they use a lot of energy and a lot of water, but what are they doing? I mean, what is the reason that we have to win that race? And of course, we had a pretty good discussion about that, but I think that's the big thing. People don't really understand what they all are. And what they do, and of course there's a lot of bad publicity out there. We had Adam and I had we were in a committee meeting last week with Homeland Security. There's over 1,300 open investigations of espionage in the South being investigated by the FBI out of Atlanta, and Kentucky's in that 1,300. They didn't tell us how many, but they're investigating the data centers, the AI. They're investigating the propaganda that's out on social media, and they did tell us that that's one of the things that foreign countries are doing, is putting a lot of stuff out to try to spread a bad light on us, to try to slow us down. So, but anyway, I just wanted to share that, and a couple of things I wanted to address with you. It's been out there, and to try to put some of these things to rest. The Lewis Ridge project started in 2018 when I was mayor. I got a call one day from the Attorney General's office from a boy named Kent Chandler that was a escort in the Kentucky Mountain Laurel Festival, and he told me they were going to build this hydroelectric plant up there, and I just kind of listened and hung up the phone and thought, yeah, right, I'm sure we'll do that. Well, it kept on, but every 6 months he kept in touch with me, and it seemed, like, the more he talked to me, the more it might become reality, and that is going to be a project that is going to happen. I have shared a lot of that on my Facebook every time we've had meetings and stuff, and Adam and I both had meetings with them a couple of times during session. I showed Brian a text I got yesterday from them wanting to meet next week in Lexington. So, but that project has nothing to do with this data center. That thing started going in 2018. That is a very positive thing for us. That thing's going to generate enough electricity for 67,000 homes. It's a battery storage type thing where they'll make the water will flow down through an 18-foot pipe, and the electricity will be sold to KU, LGE, probably some co-ops. But that's going to be a really good project for us. They say 1,500 to 2,000 jobs during construction, 200 when it's finished, and they have their permits filed, and that project is supposed to start somewhere summer or fall 2027. But that project has nothing to do with this, so I just wanted to touch on that because that's been on the internet. The other thing I wanted to touch on is American Water, who bought the Middlesboro water system. And they bought what we call in Harlan BMUD, Black Mountain Utility District. So Middlesboro has never owned their water system. They own their sewer system, but they don't own their water. American Water bought that from a company in Alabama, and back during session when Mayor Boland found out about it, he spoke with Adam and I, and after the mayor had met with them, he had a real bad feeling about, what they were telling him they were going to do, and they kind of insinuated of some rate increases. So I said, well, Boone, the only thing you can do is try to buy it. I said, see if you can buy it, and we'll see if we can help you get some money and see if you can buy it. Well, they weren't interested in selling, and they do a tariff pricing, meaning that everybody, they own Lexington, they own, of course, now they own Middlesboro, they own one in Harlan, they own several. So everybody pays the same rate. It don't matter. And Middlesboro had a good water system. They didn't have a lot of issues. I'm sure Rick could speak on that better than I could, but if you're rating water companies 1 to 10, I'd say Middlesboro had about an 8 because they didn't have a lot of issues. So they're getting a 40% rate increase from this group. The one in Harlan County is getting a 20% rate increase, and their system is terrible. They're without water at least 7 or 8 times a year. And when I say out of water, I don't mean 24 hours. I mean 10 days, 2 weeks, they're out of water. So the company, the BMUD, will pay the same rates that they are in Middlesboro, and their system's in a lot worse shape. That's what tariff pricing is. I'd never heard that before. So American Water buying Middlesboro has nothing to do with this project. I mean, that's just something that happened, back during the fall, or back during the, it was kind of, Adam and I met with them, and they filed for a rate increase the day after session ended. And Adam and I both had what we call shell bills filed that we were going to try to restrict them if they tried to do it. So they waited till the day after session where we couldn't do anything. So I just wanted to bring that up, those two things. The Pineville water system, Pineville has always owned their water system, and what they have done was something that they chose to do. Doesn't have anything to do with this project down there. They just combined it for several reasons. I talked to the mayor about it several times. They've got a drive-through window. They've got some different things, and they think they can save some costs. I don't know. I didn't get in the weeds with him on it, but that also has nothing to do with this project. I will say this, though. They have never been contacted by this group about supplying them water. Never. So a lot of those things have been on the Facebook, and they're not relevant to this project whatsoever. The other thing Mr. Bailey brought up Friday, that I passed Senate Bill 89 for the data centers. That was totally wrong. He knew that was wrong because I addressed that in a letter to him. That was strictly for coal companies. And I would pass that bill again if I had the opportunity, and I'll tell you why. In government, you've got local government, which is cities and counties, and you got state and you got federal. Cities and counties cannot pass a bill that's more stringent or more strict than state. State can't pass one that's more stringent or strict than federal government. So coal mining operates under the federal guidelines. In Kentucky, because they couldn't get all the coal mines shut down, they raised the permitting fees. There was over $125 million of fees extra put on our coal companies. Number one. Number two, they were going above and beyond the federal guidelines on the water restrictions. So when they say I rolled back the restrictions, we rolled them back to the federal level. The same that everybody else, the same playing field that everybody else plays on. You can watch my testimonies in committee. You can watch me on the floor. You can get a copy of the bill. Data centers is not mentioned. I didn't even know what a data center was in 2025. You really know the truth about it. So that was a false statement. And he knew that. I addressed that with him in 2025. So I just wanted to clear that up. Senate Bill 89 was a coal bill. And here's why, folks. If those coal companies were going to have to pay those permitting fees, then who are they going to pass that on to? They're going to pass it on to KU or whoever that they're selling their coal to. And then who pays for that? You all do. The people pay for the prices that they charge for that. So the fees that the administration down here was charging was illegal. Number one, there is a case out there that Sackett, it's called the Sackett versus EPA, that they sued the EPA and Sackett won, and that's what we based their whole bill off of. So I just wanted to clear that up. That was a false statement. And like I said, I'll do it again for coal. 10 years ago, we were burning 92% coal. Now we're burning about 67%. So if you want to know why your rates are outrageous and they won't slow down, it's because they've just, they've tried to, they're not burning the coal like they used to. So that was the reason I did that, was trying to help the coal people and try to help our rates, more than anything. So I just wanted to address those things with you all, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. One other thing I want to clear up, Donnie Lefevers and I went down on the site Friday. When I got back, I'd been in Washington all week, and I wanted to see it, and Donnie had seen it a couple times. So when we went down there, they were loading the equipment up and said they were moving out. So after the I guess the court meeting Friday, I walked up and asked them if they were leaving, if they were moving out. And they just said, no, they were done with the logging portion. But somebody put a meme of me up there talking to them, and made some statements like I was up there. All I did was ask them if they were leaving. That's all I did. The other thing I did, I gave a list of questions to Ben DeVary that Dalton Taylor had given me. It's Katie Gibson's husband, and Dalton probably has more knowledge of data centers than anybody that I've talked to, including legislators and energy events and stuff that I've been to. He's got a lot of knowledge. So he gave me a list of questions that I gave to him, and I asked him if they could address them, and they said yes. Well, when I went back up there, he said they couldn't do those right now because that would be the end users responded to those, which meant whoever put the data center in, which told me that they didn't have anybody on the hook yet to put the data center. So I wanted to clear that up. I mean, I was, they made it look like I was up there, cutting some kind of big deal with them, and I was not. So I just wanted to clear those up, and I apologize for not being able to be there today. I had to come down here for this flood stuff. So if any questions, Brian, I'll be glad to answer them.
All right.
One other thing. I have not signed an NDA, have never been asked to sign one. Not in anything I've ever done since I've been married, I've never been asked to sign an NDA.
And at what point, Senator, did you find out about the data center? Or the proposed data center?
When Mayor Fugit called me Thursday and asked me what I knew about it, and I said, only thing I can tell you is I know who owns it. I know who owns the property.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Mayor Scott Maiden, we appreciate him being a part of our forum. So let's do it this way. How I found out was maybe the way some of you found out. There was a case number, 2024-00326, and it was filed with the PSC, that is Public Service Commission. It was filed back in June 2nd of 2025. June 2nd of 2025. Now, let me tell you what the information entails, okay? This is what's known as a TSR, Transmission Service Request. That is, hey, we're going to be putting something in. It's going to need a whole lot more than the 220 in your home, okay? We're talking about 350 megawatts is what was requested. Now, this has already been closed, which means I'll have to file a Freedom of Information Act to get more information on it. I did speak to the PSC, I guess it was Friday after the fiscal court meeting. And they said this was closed back in November of 2025. So that's why I have to get that piece of information to find out more information, because it's not currently on their website in the public realm. But it was showing at the bottom of the page, you've got Campground 1, Campground 2, Meridian 1, Meridian 2, Maverick, Pineville, and Campground 3, and those are all part of a map that you may have seen me post. Has anybody seen me put this up on the station page or have seen this map? Okay. This is locations of proposed data centers across the state. Down at the bottom, there's a note that says, Project Meridian 2, there's more to it, has been publicly announced as Project Lincoln OC Data Center. The developer has recently, as of June of last year, announced it does not plan to proceed with its project in the Meridian 2 site that was supposed to be somewhere near Bell County. So let's put something else to rest. I'm going to move Old Glory here for just a second. Someone had put out that there was a project and proposed data center going in at the sand quarry up on Laurel Hill. Who's heard that? Okay. So, A, it's not true. That tract of land, that area, has been purchased by a conservation district to keep it protected. Okay? So you can go ahead, when you see someone post that up, just realize that they've got bad information. So the only proposed area, and we're going not only off of the paperwork that we found, and many others have found, thank you to several different folks who have helped me to research this. One of them is going to be coming up here in just a minute. But I'll say the only place that we've been able to find right now is this piece of property. And the words from Dale Murray's mouth himself is that their plans were to put a data center in that is a closed loop, which we will discuss that here in just a second. Everybody still with me? Everybody still good? Okay, all right. I know it's a lot of information to digest. And I think the majority of folks are just like, okay, what's going to happen next? So we're going to talk about the what's going to happen next first. There is an expectation. I'm not going to quote anybody. I'm just going to say there is an expectation that once this is passed tomorrow, which we hope happens, and I'm going to ask one of our magistrates to come up here in just a moment, then it's, and I say pass, meaning the second reading. Second reading. It's not tomorrow, it's Thursday. Second reading is Thursday at 11. There is no, but you can show up, we'll cover it. There is no public speaking time, okay? And I believe, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn, it's because it's the second reading, and usually the second reading goes along with the first reading. That's usual. That's normally what happens, okay? Things could change, I don't know. Again, I'm not here to try to assume what our local government is going to do. After that 10-day time period, it becomes law. There is an expectation, as has happened in other parts of the state that have done the very same thing, that there will be a lawsuit filed. Again, that's an expectation that a lawsuit will be filed. Now, I'm going to ask the county attorney if he'd like to expound. If he wouldn't, that's okay. The county attorney does not work for me. He works for you in the fiscal court. If you would come up to this red microphone, sir. This is Chris Douglas. Let's have a hand for Chris. All right, Chris, if you wouldn't mind, just fill us in on the expectation of what may be happening within the next maybe 2 weeks to a month.
I spoke to their attorney today. Can you all hear me?
I'll turn him up. Just keep talking.
I spoke to their attorney this morning. Pretty well guarantee that we will wind up in litigation after this second reading. I won't go into detail tonight. I'd be happy to talk to you all individually anytime you want to, but it's going to be an uphill battle. I don't want to sugarcoat anything. The moratorium will be hard to defend, but we will fight that fight. Ultimately, it'll be up to our circuit court judge or either a federal court judge. I would imagine they'll file here in Bell Circuit, but that'll probably take 3 to 4 months, I would imagine, litigating that. And if we win in the circuit court level, obviously they're going to appeal to the Court of Appeals. So this is just the beginning of the legal process. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's where we're at with it.
Hang on just a second. We'll let you ask questions.
I couldn't hear. I don't want to say that on the record. I know they're watching this. I think they have people here probably, and I know they're watching from Lexington, so I would rather discuss that individually if that's okay with you.
Does anybody have any other questions of Chris? I do have one more question. When there's lawsuits brought against a county in the state of Kentucky, what contingency plan is there? Is it coming out of the taxpayer's pocket to fight it? Does KCO have lawyers? What's the procedure?
More than likely, KCO will defend it alongside myself. We'll be served with a complaint. I'll file an answer with a KCO attorney. If there is damages, I mean, that's one thing we also have to consider. If we lose ultimately, and this is in litigation for 4 to 5 years, we could be stuck with a judgment on our end. And it'll be up to KCO to determine how much risk they're willing to take on that. So that's another aspect of it. But to answer your question, it'll be me and KCO that's defending it.
Thank you very much. Any other questions of Chris? If you're going to ask questions, either stand up to where you can be heard. Please come up to the microphone if that's all right. And I'm not trying to put Chris on the spot here, but he can answer questions about this better than I can. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to know if there's any chance that Murray Industries can be grandfathered in based on the ordinance and legislation that possibly could be passed.
That's two different issues. The moratorium, no. That basically stops everything in its tracks. So if that's found to be valid and legal, then no, they can't. If, however, we were to go farther with other regulations in the county, then potentially, yes. If they get up there and they pour concrete and they've got footers poured and everything, yes. It's a good worry to have.
And we had one other person asking a question. Okay, she helped you answer that question. All right. Mr. Douglas, thank you so much for your time. Let's have a hand for Chris. I would like next up Mr. Joe Hammontree. Would you come forward, please? Now, Joe has been, to say the least, very vocal as to his stance and his position with the fiscal court. You want to come up? I'd appreciate it if you come up here so people can see you in all your beauty. Okay, you got some prepared stuff, so we're going to.
I want to thank everybody for coming. We need people behind us when we stand up for everybody. And, it's a lot of stress on us, but it's all about you all. And that's why that we're doing what we're doing. And it's about the people. And that's what it's all about. I know here lately I've had so many phone calls and information poured at me that I feel like a data center. Don't shoot me. But, this is our way of life. And, I don't want nothing to take it from us. I love my county. I love my people. And I'll do anything to help keep our county safe, our water, air, everything that we have a potential of losing. And but I'm on your side, and I'm gonna fight right with y'all. And I thank y'all for everything.
We're going to have Mr. LaFevers come up next on stage. There have been several organizations that I have spoken to, and we'll tell you who they are in just a moment, trying to get some answers on what service could be provided to a new data center. I spoke to Fish and Wildlife today. There's a few things there that are important as well. So, Donnie, you come up here. You speak your mind right there.
Thank you, Brian. All right. Yeah, I'm Donnie LaFevers. I represent the people of District 2. I'm like a lot of you guys. I didn't know a lot about data centers. Been trying to find out everything I could since then. I told you in the court meeting I'd stand with the people. I'm here to represent us, to to fight for this and do everything I can to prevent this data center from coming into our communities. And just hope everybody realizes that, like Mr. Douglas said, we've got quite a few steps to go through, but the only way you can get up on the porch, you have to climb your steps, one at a time. We've climbed up one big step the other day, getting the moratorium passed. We've got the second reading in record time for Thursday, and we've got a good group representing us, and we'll just keep crossing our bridges as we come to them, stay together, and we'll try to back this thing down. Thank you.
All right, some folks are asking online, and I don't want to leave them out. We have a big audience on there. Who owned the land prior to Murray Industries? There's something outside I need to get for that, so I'll let somebody else come up and talk here in just a moment. But let me talk about a conversation that I had earlier today with Fish and Wildlife, okay? A lot of information. Who feels like they're in information overload with this stuff? Isn't that amazing and ironic that we're in information overload about a data center? All right, Kentucky Fish and Wildlife told me this afternoon they have not been contacted yet in regards to this project, but generally their focus would need to be around sediment, erosion control, minimizing impacts to streams, and this is all hypothetical, but this is what they would do should they be called, advising that the developers consult with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife for compliance with the Endangered Species Act. And I have found out there's at least one endangered species. It's a particular bat on this land. Just letting you know. Oh. On behalf of the bats, thank you. And also observing the tree clearing windows to minimize the impact to bats and nesting birds. Wildlife, no matter what you clear, if you're clearing for a church, if you're clearing for a data center, if you're clearing for a drive-in movie theater, there's going to be some wildlife that's impacted. I'd seen a few things online, which, raise your hand if you've seen something online about this situation. If you've seen something online about this situation, whether true or false, right. So there's so much misinformation and true information that's getting mixed in with the misinformation. I think I want to have, before I add more to what I'm saying here, because I did reach out to the EPA, had not heard back from them. I reached out to forestry, have not heard back from them, because when you're clearing land, there's certain things. I do want to say one big question, two actually. If indeed this data center, just something to think about, is such a good thing for Bell County, Kentucky, or any organization, if it's such a good thing, if it's going to provide jobs, if it's going to have tax revenue, if it's going to pay some bills for some local schools, if this is such a good thing, why is it being brought in under secrecy? I believe that to be a common sense question. I believe that the citizens of any given area where one of these centers is being put in, whether it be Bitcoin or whether it be an actual data center, if it's such a good thing, then shouldn't the folks in the area come to a ribbon cutting, come to a grand opening? How many times have we seen projects, not just in Southeast Kentucky, all over the tri-state area? If someone opens a hair salon, they're doing a ribbon cutting. If this is so good for the area, why are people being left in the dark about it? I think this is something that someone, I don't know who that someone is, that someone needs to answer that question. I think it's a common sense question. Advocate Emily Diaz, will you come forward, please? We'll tell you what she's an advocate for here in just a minute. And again, this forum is not, would you mind coming up here? I wanted to be on the floor. This forum is not to, what's the best way to say this? This is not to attack anyone who is trying to better our community, okay? That's not what this forum is for. This is to bring awareness of what could happen and prevent something bad from happening in the future. Do we have any representatives here from the power company? Any representatives from the power company? Okay, I'll tell you what they said here in just a minute. Emily, if you'll come up here, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. Sure. We're gonna talk to you real quick, and then you can have your say. So, how did you get involved? Why are you involved? Who are you? Where are you from?
My name's Emily Diaz. My family and I live on Bell Jellicoe Mine Road, which is where this is happening, and I'm involved because I have no choice but to be.
Okay, you're going to speak from your heart. I'm going to grab a piece of equipment here and get out of your way.
And I'm going to sound really angry, and I apologize in advance.
How dare you have feelings?
I know.
So, I was going to ask her a question, and I just started walking away. I'm going to go get the deed so I can tell people who own the land. With you being here, what do you hope to accomplish? And can you tell me the effect that the smoke had on your family as they were clearing the land, please?
So throughout this entire ordeal, I've talked about myself and my family, but I want to make it clear that this is not just an issue for my family. This is an issue for the entire community of 92 and all of the rest of Bell County, and you're all going to realize that if this thing goes through. So to answer Brian's question, we realized, like everyone else on 92, that something was happening because we started breathing smoke. And the mountain was burning, and we didn't know why until a worker accidentally finally let it slip. It never came from Dale Murray's mouth. It never came from Ben DeVary's mouth. We found out from a worker who wasn't supposed to say anything. And I think if that worker hadn't slipped up, we still wouldn't know what was going on today. So this has nothing to do with the transparency by those owners. So that's how we found out. We had to wipe ash off of our vehicles. We breathed smoke for 2 weeks before we were able to get a special meeting. And we were only able to do that because of Rick Nelson, Donnie Lefevers, and Joe Hammondtree. So we're immensely thankful for them.
How are you helping to fight against this data center coming into our area?
So I and my family, all of us, have communicated with every single entity that we could possibly think of, every attorney, every organization. And just to clear something up, Fish and Wildlife was contacted on the very first day that smoke started coming down from that mountain. So when they speak to you and they tell you that they've not been contacted, it's a lie. We have contacted Fish and Wildlife. We have contacted the EPA, Pete Rayburn specifically, who allowed the open burning. We have contacted everyone that we can think of. So we have taken to the people in 92 and Bell County, and obviously some in other states, and that's where we were able to get the work done. So it's because of you guys.
And have you assisted in getting any legal action taken in order to get this done? Some preventative maintenance?
So I have had a few conversations with Chris Douglas, who's been really helpful and is going to argue this thing the best that he can, and I think he's really standing with the people. I also have contacted other organizations such as the Kentucky Resource Council and CEDS, which is KEDS. I've also started a GoFundMe to retain KEDS, and what they do is they provide environmental studies. So they'll come down 92, they'll look at the area, they'll look at the bats and different things like that in the community, and they'll create a report about how this is going to affect people on 92 and the greater county. Obviously, that's not a free service, but they also do with legal strategies because Chris Douglas shouldn't have to handle this on his own. We all know that Albie Brock is not a friend to Bell County right now. So, so to assist Chris Douglas in his fight against these people, both in the courts and outside of, I've raised a GoFundMe. My name is Emily Diaz. It's D-I-A-Z. You can go to my Facebook, and that GoFundMe is there. If you want to contribute to it, you can also come up to me. I'm in the row with the giant family right there, and we can figure out something else that way.
What's the next step for you?
My next step is just to continue to work with the people because We have shown time and time and again, we have 5 magistrates and an executive judge, and 2 of them are here tonight. So my plan is to continue to work with those advocates that we actually have in our community, because I know that they stand with us, and to work with my fellow residents of 92 to make sure that the pressure stays on our local government, because I'm telling you now, like Chris said, these people are watching and they are betting on us getting exhausted, and we will, but that doesn't mean we will stop.
Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, I guess just to that question of what is next legally, I have been through every statute that I can think of, every case that has happened in Kentucky, and I truly think that the best option to truly stop this thing long-term is going to be zoning. And like I said, Albie is not a friend. He is not going to like that, and he's not going to pass it if he can do anything, if he has anything to do with it. So we just have to keep up the momentum and keep in the ear of the fiscal court to get action done. And then as well as the GoFundMe. And just to raise awareness that Murray, the guy who is wanting to start this whole thing, this is his thing. He goes to communities and he buys coal mines that have shut down and he tries to make money off of them. And in those states like Virginia that he's done that, he's been fined tens of thousands of dollars for polluting their water. He thinks it's so safe that this is a closed loop system, and yet he's someone who pollutes water specifically, and for causing damage to local homes and being violated as an imminent threat to public safety and health. That is not someone you want in your backyard. So all of his talk about being a good neighbor, just remember that.
Can you remind us one more time how the folks can either support you or support your endeavors?
Yes, my name is Emily Diaz. All of my posts about the data center are public on Facebook. So if you go to my Facebook page or if you go to the page No Kentucky Data Centers, the GoFundMe and all of my posts will be on there as well. And if you want to come up to me afterward to talk about things or to work out the GoFundMe situation, you can do that too. I'll stick around.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Brian.
Let's have a hand for her. All right, we're going to give folks an opportunity to speak here in just a moment. I reached out, I don't know if you saw the helicopter story I did a couple of weeks ago where helicopters were putting some wonderful chemicals to kill things around the transmission lines. And I reached out to Drew, my contact with KU, and I did that right after I had done the story from the PSC. I said, Drew, can you please expound on this? Is this transmission service request, is that active? Are you granting it? Do you have any information? And he came back with a pat answer, which is understandable, that they cannot necessarily discuss ongoing projects. I do appreciate him taking time to speak with me, though, or at least get back with me. There have been some that have just decided no. I also reached out to Ben and to Dale, and I said, I'm having a forum. Now, I did reach out prior to the meeting that they both attended. Okay, I did reach out. And they said, if and when we do something with our property, now I'm emphasizing the word our for a reason. If and when we do something with our property, we will let you know. We appreciate your interest in our project. And that was basically it. And I just added, would you be able to speak sometime in the future about the project? And of course, I got a C above. That was my answer. Okay. So I've reached out to those folks. And I wanted to give everybody an opportunity that would be coming into contact with this project one way or another, give them the opportunity to come here and speak in front of the folks who this could affect in a negative manner. So people are asking me who owned, past tense, this particular tract of land. All right, as of 1998, it was Bell Incorporated, B-E-L Incorporated. And this is all on file at the PVA's office. Thank you to Ben Barnett for getting this information to me. It's public information. And he also printed me out a tract that has the large section that you saw and then the 2 smaller sections. It's a total of 1,185 acres, which I may have mentioned earlier. I know it's getting a little bit warm in here, but just bear with me. So 1998, Bell owned it, Bell Incorporated. It still shows that it had a $600,000 sale price at that time. And then, 20 years later, TriStar Real Estate, LLC, and Bradley S. Smith jointly owned it. Doesn't show a sale price. They're the individuals who owned it prior to Murray Industries, LLC owning it, okay? What I did find is back in 2002, and I'm not about to make this personal. I'm just giving you information on research I've done, that Dale Murphy was involved with a foreign-owned coal company, okay? Does that mean that's going to equate to what he's doing now? Not necessarily, but it does give you a background. Emily had mentioned something. There was also a CM Mining in Buchanan County, Virginia, I believe. There was a really bad blowout there. And the company that Mr. Murray had something to do with was fined heavily and told to cease operation. And WCYB carried this, and I'm mentioning it for a reason. If there were any relaxed protocols, if there were any relaxed regulations, if there was any policy that was not adhered to, and it appeared that that's the way it was ruled, that kind of practice could translate to future projects like this. Am I saying that's the intent? I'm not saying that. But sometimes the best predictor of the future is past actions. Would everybody agree with that much at least? Okay. Especially when it's a developer. And that's not me attacking the man or Murray Industries. That's just giving you a track record. Every one of us has one shape, some shape, form, or fashion. So, we have another individual that I'd like to bring up. And this young man, I've known him for a while, and he works in and around, he doesn't work at, in and around information technology. How am I doing so far? That would be a part of a data center. Am I good so far? I'd like to bring my friend Devin Frederick up. He is from Barberville. He's going to talk a little bit about some technical aspects of what this center could possibly be, the possibility of the operation. He does not speak on behalf of the data center. He is a resource that I'm using in order to better let folks know what's going on. And I'm going to say, tell us about a actually, before you do that, tell us what you do. You don't have to be specific. He's not representing anybody. But tell us what you do. I'm going to. You're going to be on this mic. And if you would also tell us what you believe a closed loop data center is. Go.
Okay. My name is Devin Frederick. I'm from Barberville. I grew up probably, well, the distance from here to the data center is about how far I am from where I grew up in Barberville. So about the same distance away. For a living, I design fiber optic networks that connect anything. So that's where my technical knowledge comes from. I've got about 10 years professional experience, about 15 years if you count the non-professional experience. Went to Union College, got a degree in computer science. So this is something that I deal with every single day and have for the past 10 to 15 years. Closed loop systems in data centers, not technically a closed loop data center itself, works the same way as a vehicle cooling system. The water cools the components, heat gets transferred through the water to a radiator, and then on the other end, the heat is either blown out with a fan, air cooled, or through a heat exchanger of some sort to transfer to another medium of water or what have you.
with that said, tell us what happens when the heat needs to disperse. Where does it go?
That kind of limits you to either air-cooled, which would be like a car radiator, or liquid-cooled, which would use water from somewhere. It has to be it's one or the other. It's either going into air or water, or geothermal. That's another option.
Okay, so there are 5 types of data centers. Okay, do you know all 5?
I've got a list.
Okay, go ahead and pull that list out, and while he does that, there are 5 types of data centers, folks, and the one you're seeing most often is the AI-generated 19,000 gallons of water per second and 3 football fields wide and 20 stories high. That's what you're seeing on social media right now, okay? It is a bit of a scare tactic people are using. I'm not saying that's not going to happen. I'm just saying that one of them is not the amount of land that's been cleared so far. So you go ahead, explain the 5 types of data centers.
Like what you're explaining, that would be the hyperscale data centers. Of pictures that are not AI generated, that would be the ones like you see out in the desert. Massive, massive, multi-story facilities. Then you have your enterprise or on-premise. That would be just a business, say a bank. They have their equipment in a building because, well, with a bank, you have to put data somewhere because everything runs on computers. Co-location facilities, that would be somebody builds a big building and they rent out the space to whoever wants to pay for it. Hyperscale, wholesale, that's kind of the same as a co-location facility. And then you would have your AI data centers where all they do is AI, artificial intelligence processing. That would be something like companies say Anthropic or OpenAI would have. There's name your what other companies that you would want. Then you have cloud data centers. That's anybody can get on the internet and rent a server, pay so much a month, and that's all those data centers do. Then you have your crypto mining data centers, which that's all they do. It's a Bitcoin mine.
Now, there is a Bitcoin mining operation in Claiborne County, Tennessee. You can hear it. You can hear it. Is that a possibility for our area? It could be. I mean, all they've done is cleared land. Claiborne County tried to fight it, and they were unsuccessful. And the folks from around that area know, because who believes they know what a data center sounds like? Anybody actually have you heard one in person? Okay, so it can be a low hum. The resonance can be high, around 60 kilohertz. It can be something even higher than that, depending on the cooling system. But a Bitcoin could be a possibility. Now, that is based off of the amount of land that I'm seeing cleared. Don't take my word for that. That is not what the gentleman said was going in. He said it was a closed-loop system. Those are his words. But things could change at any moment, as we have seen thus far. So, and I'll let you go after this, because I know you're kind of under the gun. In your experience dealing with information technology, can you give me an idea of some of the negative impacts with this particular closed-loop system, especially because they put chemicals in the water, not your water, the water within the system, to protect the equipment?
Yes, within the water that's in the closed-loop system, which it's not really water, it's more of either an antifreeze or like windshield washer fluid, the blue windshield washer fluid or the orange windshield washer fluid. Basically the same thing, it's alcohol and I believe glycol. Keep it from freezing. They also have to introduce additives into that water to keep from dissimilar metals from interacting with each other. Also to keep things from growing within that closed loop. Even though it's closed loop, Things get in it, things can grow inside of it, and yeah, for that reason, it causes problems on the computers that it's attached to, so that's why they would use that.
All right, with that said, I'm leading somewhere with that. Periodically, there's discharge from that, is there not?
I assume so. The heat and water has to go somewhere.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you want to add about your experience with centers of this nature?
You can, at least with the noise, I'm not talking the 60 cycle hum or anything like that. Just fan noise. These fans within these data centers are extremely loud. I've heard them myself. I've been in those facilities. There's facilities around here already, which they're not data centers. They're just they're a building with equipment that run everything that we use already. That would be like a internet service provider, something like that, just so they can give everybody internet, things like that. They're loud. You can dampen the noise, the insulation, things like that, but it's loud. They're just loud.
And for those folks who live in that area, you can hear a lawnmower about 3 football fields away. You can hear someone screaming a football field away. So the noise would definitely, even though the gentleman who came and spoke said that the decibels would be lower than conventional, you'd still be able to hear it. Now that sounds, again, like I'm here trying to condemn. I'm just giving you the facts of the matter, okay? All right. Devin, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Let's have a hand for this young man. Okay, I'm going to give the folks in the audience, because we're going to wrap up here in just a few minutes. So far, do you feel like you've received a little more information than you had before? Okay, all right. If there's someone who would like to talk, raise your hand for me, please. Yes, ma'am. Come down here. Yeah, now I have that set for somebody tall, so you might have to just turn it down just a little bit.
Everybody's taller than me.
Sorry about that.
Like 12-year-olds, 10-year-olds, they're all taller than me.
What is your name, please?
My name is Jody Carroll. I live less than a mile from the site. I can't tell.
I promise you they can hear you. If you can't hear her, raise your hand. Okay, great.
Okay, so I have 2 questions.
Okay.
And it's about myself as a private citizen, but I would assume that other people would maybe these questions would resonate with most citizens.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know that, knowing who Emily Diaz is, that gives me a lot of confidence that I can navigate social media a little better. I mean, folks, it's social media. People are just putting their opinions and whatever entertains them on there. And I want to know, what can I do to make sure that what time I choose to spend on social media trying to learn more information about this, what are the accurate sources? And so I will depend on Emily, not to put you on the spot, but if you say something else other than yourself as an accurate source after tonight, I will believe you. And that means something to me. I don't want garbage. I don't have time for that.
There's a select few people who are trying to do some research and vet out the rumor, the rhetoric, and get to some facts. And that's on both sides, those who condone and those who condemn.
Right. My other question is, other than attending meetings and forums, what can we do as citizens? I feel like after tonight and maybe the second reading meeting, that we're gonna drift away from each other and be loosely organized. Are there any precedents for how we might organize ourselves so that we get information about, here's something you can appear at, show up so that, there's representation, or whatever the case may be. I don't know that much about this kind of stuff. But what can we do, and how do we make sure we're getting the timely information about things that we can take action on?
There's a website put out called Kentucky Resource Center, Kentucky Resource Center. And it's pretty straight down the line of what you can do, how you can do it, how you can get involved. And they have links to other resources there. KYRC, it's either .org or .gov. All right, I can't remember. We had somebody else that wanted to speak. We're going to give a few more people an opportunity. Yes, sir, come on up. And again, all we're asking for is your name, your social security number, what you had for breakfast, No, just your name and where you live, please.
All right, some of you all know me. My name is Stephen Brock. Some
Hey,
of
Stephen.
you do and some of you don't. Well, at this data center, I went to school at Cumberland College, and I drove that road for 2 straight years. And that's one of the prettiest places in our district. And I'm telling you, I'm running for magistrate also in that district, so I just want to let you know. But I drove down there, and I got put out. There was a person that told me I couldn't come up in there. So what I wanted to know was, if that system he's talking about a while ago, if it has to be flushed out, where does that water go? Where does it end up? It ends up in our water. We don't need that. We don't need this data center. We don't need it, and I'm against it. That's because one reason I'm up here talking. My papa, when I was growing up, we cut hay from the mouth of Greasy Creek, plumb blow reeds, Ray Reeds. I drove a tractor from my house, my papa's house, up Straight Creek, all the way down there and cut hay for people. And it's still beautiful down through there. But if this data center goes in, even the noise would scare me, and I would say no to a data center. It doesn't need in Bell County. We've got enough of people watching what we're doing. The man upstairs is the one you better look at to watch, because he's the only one that's going to let you know something. We don't need data in this county, and let's push hard to keep it out of here. That's all. Thank you.
And I'll let a few more people talk here. One of the next steps is going to be thinking about zoning and regulation. So that leads me to another question that people have asked me over and over and over. I see this question more than anything. Who let them come in here and do this? Well, who let them do it is the fact that they own a piece of property, and when there's no zoning or regulations, they can do with that property what they want. There's no permits that are needed right now. I'm sorry, wait a minute. I don't see where the person is. Who's talking? Don't they have to have a building permit? Yeah, commercial gets theirs from the state. The problem we have in Bell County, and our magistrates may speak to this, is there zoning and regulations in Bell County, Joe? No zoning and regulations. And there's a couple of ways to look at that. You buy a piece of Donnie Wilson buys a piece of property in 4 Mile. He wants to do something with it that Orville doesn't like. Who is Orville to say what Donnie does with his property? He's not. So that means if there's some regulations and zoning, it could end up where the government's going to tell you, government being local government, tell you what you can do and can't do with your land. Now, there are some exceptions to that. I will let you know that KRS 100.131.201.202 and several others that I've been looking at, there's ways to do some, for the lack of a better phrase, this is not the right phrase, but for the lack of a better phrase, there's a way to do some selective zoning, meaning this parcel can be made for this type of project. This parcel can be made for this type of project. But there first has to be a planning and zoning committee put into place, and there is not one in Bell County because government did not want to tell people what to do with their land, which has become a loophole. You're going to have to come up here, Eric. Eric, tell everybody your name and where you live, please. Your name and where you live.
My name is Eric Garrett. I live in Pineville, Kentucky.
Okay, go ahead.
But if it's going to harm anybody else and pollute our waters and pollute our land, it should affect what they build in Bell County.
I'm not saying it doesn't. What I'm saying is that there's no regulations in order to restrict or to promote building.
That's all I got to say about it.
All right, thank you, sir. Anybody else before we wrap up? Anyone else like to speak? I'm going to go kind of like in space here, so to speak. You were the first one to raise your hand. If you wouldn't mind coming up, sir. Just your name, where you live, your favorite ice cream. We're going to let you have this mic right now. This gentleman's going to go first, if that's okay with you.
Jonathan Collins, Millsboro, Kentucky, mint chocolate.
Thank you.
I don't want to sit here and just like start going down a list of things and facts about this, but I feel like facts are the best things that you can use to voice your pleasure or displeasure about this, and I feel like we're all sort of a like mind here, so I'm just going to write off a few things I saw here after I just read a report about this that was published via Prism Reports about 2 days ago. Just some basic information about data centers that some of you might not know. Most people in the United States, like 75% of us, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you fall on, are generally opposed to data centers being constructed near where they live. And like everyone is, I would say, generally aware of some of the side effects, you know, noise pollution, messing up the water. But one other thing about them is one of the things you hear is that they're going to create jobs. Like, that's one of the things that some of the folks who construct these things, that they're going to create jobs for the community. Well, here's a fact for you. Right here. According to Food and Water Watch research, one permanent job in the data center industry, from what they're reporting here, costs roughly $13 million to maintain. And in Virginia, our neighbor state, which is sort of like, as they describe it here, the ground zero of data center construction, one non-data center job, like on average, requires an investment of about $137,000. And the fact that they're trying to do something that's so intensive like this, something that is generally so harmful and things that people don't want under, like they said, any sort of legislation or any sort of review or any sort of regulation, like you said, it's usually not going to be a good thing. Beyond that, I know there was another thing that two other senators had brought up to the Senate committee after referring to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, talking about what's going to do to the number of jobs in the U.S. as of right now. They estimate that AI and AI-related jobs or data center jobs may end up impacting over 100 million jobs over the next decade. And for reference, there's 170 million in the country right now. That's not great. I'm not great at math, but I think that's over half. All I know is that basically everybody I know, everyone I talk to about data centers, and everybody I know that is affiliated with them or has heard horror stories from Virginia or Georgia or any of our similar neighboring southern states, it's typically not a good thing if they're rushing to exploit things like this, exploit the lack of regulation and attention to the matter. Usually by the time in a local community something like this pops up, cement's already in the ground, as they say. So I just wanted to voice my concern about this. That's the entire reason I'm here, as I'm sure many of you are as well.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, before we let the next speaker talk, I want to mention something. It has been said, I've been asked a lot of questions about this, and people are saying, hey, what about the tax revenue? It's going to be giving us all this tax revenue, and it's going to pay bills to schools, and we're going to be able to build all of this infrastructure that has yet to be proven. There's been a lot of claims, and I do know that some cities now have benefited from data centers. There are some tax exemptions that data centers go through. That gives them a leg up on the average guy and gal. So for people to use that excuse, if someone could show me some hard evidence that that's going to happen with any data center that's going to be put in Bell County, I will be glad to present it. And one more thing before this gentleman speaks. People were asking about resources. If I have the opportunity, you can go to our Facebook page, the big one, 106.3 FM, and I'll keep updating people on a regular basis as to things that are going on with this data center and any coming into the area. Because there's folks in Virginia that have been approached. There's folks in Tennessee that have been approached. There's folks in North Carolina that have been approached. And they're at the I don't know what to do stage. So this, for our county, this could set a precedent. People could say, oh, yeah, Bell County versus Murray Industries. Yeah, the county got together and said no. And I will tell you from being firsthand at a meeting, and it's not a data center, so just hang on a second. Firsthand meeting at a meeting in Speedwell, Tennessee. It was for a company called Carbonite. And it is not data center, but the community got together and said, absolutely not. We're not going to do this. We're not going to be a part of this. And they decided that company was going to go someplace else, and it did. So for there to be a grassroots effort to stop this, don't let anybody tell you you can't. Hello, sir. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Johannan Woodring. I live in Frakes. I have all my entire life pretty much. But I heard the question earlier, people were asking, why Bell County, right? Like, why here? And I did a little bit of research. I'm not an expert in the field, but I did a little bit of research, and one of the reasons that companies will choose places like this, where it's rural and there's not a lot of cities, and there's a lot of mountains, a lot of trees, is because it's cooler here on average, so it's cheaper and easier to keep those data centers cool. So if you wanted an answer for that, that is one of the reasons they've targeted our area.
Except for today, when it's 700 degrees outside.
Except for today. But yeah, another reason that I think we can all agree with is just our local politics. I mean, look at the people that are running against each other. Look at the reasons that they're running against each other and the claims that they're making against each other. All the drama that's going around. Every single election time comes around and everybody's just screaming things at each other. Nobody cares. Well, not to say that nobody cares, but most people don't care about policy. Most people don't care what are these people doing for us. They say, oh, I know that guy from high school, he's probably all right. Or that guy came down my road and talked to me, so he's all right. And that's a problem. That's a problem in our county. And then stuff like this happens and we wonder, how did this happen? Well, it's the people we elected, you know what I'm saying? So that's another issue, but when it comes to AI data centers, I feel like the bottom line for us is, you know, okay, if the data center is going to be a good thing for us, then fine, right? But we need concrete evidence, just like you were saying. We need concrete evidence that that's going to be the case. And from what we can see, just on basic research, AI data centers are not good for rural areas. It's been clear time and time again. You can see that they take up a lot of water resources, pollute the water in certain cases, and heat up the area in general. And one thing that's going to affect me directly is I live in Frakes. I know a lot of other people that live far away from Pineville, but our water supply is from Pineville. If Pineville's water goes up in price, or God forbid they don't have any water left, that's going to affect a lot of people in the county that's way out in the boonies. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things people have to keep in mind, is that these effects aren't just going to affect this specific area. Like Emily's family over there, they live right next to it and they're feeling that effect right now. But when they put that in and we don't have water and our electric goes up and our water goes up, that's going to affect the entire county. So another thing that I didn't hear talked about today was the reason for all of this. Why are they putting this AI data center? Why is this big thing going on? And a lot of people don't realize that there's an AI bubble going on right now, that there are companies, specifically OpenAI, that have said, look, this is going to be a revolutionary technology. This is going to make so much money for the United States. This is going to make everybody's lives so much better. And they promise all these things. And then NVIDIA says, hey, I'm going to invest $300 billion into your company. And then OpenAI says, oh, look at all this money we have. Let's go put $300 billion into Oracle. Oracle makes data centers. So then Oracle says, all right, we have all this money. They buy a bunch of chips from NVIDIA and they start putting data centers everywhere. And all this money is going around in a circular fashion. But where's that coming from? It's empty promises. How many people have used AI and they search for something basic information, and it pulls up a complete hallucination. Something, facts, basic facts that aren't true. Can't even do math, basic math. They're promising a revolutionary technology, and we haven't seen that yet. It can do amazing things. It is great at a lot of things, but is it worth all the data centers that are going everywhere? It's not. And when that bubble pops, we're gonna feel the weight of that. We're gonna feel that expense. So, and another thing which hasn't been talked about and is a little bit out there, but when it comes to these data centers, okay, so if the bubble pops, then what happens? A lot of these data centers, according to some things that I've seen online, are going to be used for surveillance because I don't know if y'all have heard of flock security cameras, but I've heard talks of them putting them in our area, and they're already putting them in cities all over the United States. And these are not just cameras, they're AI cameras, and what they do is they surveil people, they look for license plates, but there's multiple videos out there that you can look up of people hacking these cameras. They're not secure whatsoever, and there have been plenty of these cameras put up across from places like daycares. And flock security employees are not supposed to be able to access that, but there is evidence that you can look this up. Just look up flock security. There's evidence of those employees going into those flock security camera systems and looking through them across from daycares and places like that. For what reason? For what reason? And to make it all worse, the government has put money into this, and it is part of the government's plan for surveilling the United States. So that's part of the reason why they're putting all these data centers around, is because that is the plan for the future. But yeah, just to close up, because I know I'm taking a lot of time here, we just really need to focus on what is this going to do for us. It's pretty clear this is not going to be good for our county. It's pretty clear that this is not going to benefit us. If Mr. Murray was standing up here today and he had evidence saying, hey, look, you know, that stuff that happened in what was it, Virginia?
Yes.
That stuff that happened, you know, that was an accident, you know. We didn't want that to happen. We're putting these concrete steps in place to make sure that doesn't happen again. And these are the steps we're going to take to make this a good thing for our county. Then maybe I trust the guy. But where is he? Where is he? Where's the company that's trying to put this in saying, hey, this is going to be good for our county? They're not here. They're not here. They're trying to do this in secret. They're trying to make sure that we don't get involved in this and that we don't stop them. But I'm glad to see there's a great group of folks here today. We're all here together trying to make sure that we can do the best for our county. So yeah, just stay focused. And thank you all for having me today.
Thank you. Let her reassess something here. Come on back up. We're going to let these two people finish up. Unless you... No, you're good to go, sir. Thank you very much. Go ahead, ma'am. Just remind folks of your name.
Jody Carroll.
From?
Live less than a mile from the monstrosity.
Okay.
Someone from home listening and watching is helping me kind of put two and two together, but I think this question is important, so came back up to use a couple more minutes and share the question. Speculation during our conversation tonight about like how big or not big is this supposed data center going to be, what's it going to do, we still don't know. But this does speak to the size. Devin Frederick may or may not have something to add to this based on his expertise in the field. But when Dale Murray was talking at the physical court meeting, he used the words billions and billions being invested. That does not sound like a small operation to my cheap brain.
Okay. All right. You're next. What's your name, please?
Hi, my name is Trista Hurst. I live up through Page. Very nice to see you all. Seen a lot of people in the crowd. I recognize I'm a library clerk. And part of my job as a library clerk, I have to be updated with local information. And I see a lot of, I'm sure you guys have seen it too, over the past few years, boil water advisories all throughout the county, through where I'm at, Page, up through Cubbage, up from every part of the county. And so I see this data center coming in, and I'm hearing about the water usage, and I worry about the strain that it's going to place on an already taxed, our water system. Like, if we can barely support, well, not barely support, but it just sickens me to see everyone trying to come in, take our water, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to speak, sir? Now, I am going to cut this off. It's 8:46. I'm sure there's some kids at the house that need to be taken care of if they're not being babysat. Some puppies, Donnie. So we'll wrap this up in about 15 minutes. But go ahead, sir. First of all, your name?
Hi, my name is Jeremy Diaz. My family is from the Brownies Creek, Shillelagh area. I'm married into 92, though. So I had several, I'm not a talker. I want to start with that. I'm not a talker. I didn't come here planning on talking. And like Brian said, a lot more can get done in this county if people that don't talk do talk, and people that don't show up do show up. And so that's what I'm trying to do here. There is 3 points that I wanted to make, but I wanted to start that, you know, I said my family's from the Brownie Creek and Shillelagh area. My great-grandfather was outlived by his wife by like 40 years because he died of black lung. My granddad, Papaw, you know, I'm half from the area, but anyways, my Papaw had more health problems than you could count on one hand. And it might have something to do with the fact that he worked in the tannery. And when he came home, he smelled so bad that my mama wouldn't let him in the house. And quite frankly, that's 2 generations back through there of like health problems and stuff that have happened to families around here. And already that guy claimed he's a good neighbor, but you know, my nieces, my nephew, my in-laws, all of them are already breathing wildfire smoke in like a place that is bright green and rains all the time. That shouldn't even be happening. So I don't want to keep allowing these big companies to come in here and give us more health problems that we don't even know what they're going to cause yet. Okay. I had 3 points that I wanted to get up here and talk about. And some of them I'm glad people are already addressing, and it's about things like misinformation. They've tried to sell this with terms like closed loop and that they'll give us billions of dollars, and I'm glad people already started to touch on those. Closed loop, like the oil in your car is closed loop. It leaks, it comes out. When it does come out, you have to flush it. It's a whole different color. It's full of metal shreds. That's what a closed loop water system is. And if it's going to be a closed loop water system that's making billions of dollars, there's going to be a lot of it. That's a lot of water that's a different color and full of all these shreds from all the machinery in the factories. That's the closed loop part. The scale. So, you know, there's this question of like, they're going to be billions of dollars, but he showed the video and it's like what? Less than a mile of like, essentially like an interstate size? That's small. There's no way that's making $1 billion. They've got much bigger plans than that. $1 billion, we don't know what that is because normal people don't have that much money. $1 billion is $1,000 million. That guy is claiming that he's gonna go to the bank essentially. Like if you are lucky enough to go to the bank and get $1,000 out in single dollar bills and just throwing 1,000 single dollar bills, but in reality it's 1 million at Bell County. There's no way that's coming from less than a mile of interstate size forest being cleared. They're gonna make this into something giant. Either that or he's a liar, or he's already a liar for mis-selling it. Okay, closed loop. I had 3 things to come up here and talk about. Closed loop, the scale, and I'm blanking on the third.
How much you love Emily.
I do love Emily a lot. Okay, I'll close with that since I can't remember.
Thank you very much, sir. And again, I know we've got these 2 gentlemen, and there's a young lady in the back. Do you still want to talk, ma'am? She'll pass. Okay. All right. So these will be, if it's okay. Oh, can you get on the microphone if you're going to do it? Okay, real quick. Go ahead. Give her just a second, okay? Ladies first.
My name's Rebecca Shelby, and I know that Emily had mentioned talking about, and people had said that there's no zoning. How do you start, if Bell County doesn't have a zoning commission, how do you get that, how does that happen?
Okay, KRS 100, just look up KRS 100, all right? and you'll see that there's things that you can implement to have planning and zoning. A committee has to be formed first, and that committee, normally that's done by the fiscal court, is it not, Joe? And for the folks that are on broadcast that can't hear Joe, he said there's some planning and things have to go in. I will tell you, there's a vetting process. You don't want to put anybody on a planning and zoning committee that is going to have a vested interest in things like this. They have to be neutral. They have to be neutral. Okay. Was there anything else? Okay. Sir, go right ahead.
Yeah. My name is Joe Gibson.
Joe, can you speak on the mic for me, please?
Yeah. Sorry. My name is Joe Gibson. This is my entire family right here. I was born and raised in East Jellicoe. That's where my family still lives.
You got this. Let's give him some encouragement, please.
No. So, that is where my family is buried. That is where we will be buried. And that is a stone's throw away from where this is born in. I don't believe for a moment that anything that is good for us has to be enticed by the promises of money and done under secrecy. And I'm not here to convince any of you that this is or isn't a good thing. I think we all agree that it's not. What I ask is this area, our strong suit, has always been family. All of you have cousins, mamas, papas, brothers and sisters. Keep your foot on them. Time is not on our side. If we get a moratorium Thursday, the fight is not over. People have expressed concern that we'll become complacent, that we'll forget, and that is what they hope for. This is a small fraction of what this community represents. Each of you go to your family, urge them to keep the pressure on their elected officials, local, state. Do not let this rest. Do not let them destroy our home and our environment for something that does not benefit us. So, thank you.
We're going to make Jordan the last person to speak, or you can sing it.
Nope.
He's this guy, awesome singer, by the way. But go ahead, sir.
My name is Jordan Lee King. I live over in Middlesboro, and just wanted to come over here and let you guys know that we are supporting you over there, even though this is happening on this side of the county. I do have a lot of ties to 92. I grew up down there. I have a lot of family that still live down there, and for as long as Appalachia has existed, we have had very rich natural resources, and people have always came for those. And corporate greed has wound its way through these hills like kudzu, and it smothers all of the life below it. That has left our area underdeveloped, poverty-stricken, uneducated, and robbed of all the tools necessary to live good lives. That is why these data centers target areas like us, because they think we're undereducated, they think we're poor, and we are not. And they will only tell you the truth when they think that it benefits them. And please believe me that they are lying to you. These are lies. All of the things that they are saying are lies. This can stop, anytime, but they are the ones making the decision to carry it forward. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Well, to the detractors who thought, quote unquote, this was going to be pitchforks and torches, I thought we had good civil discourse. I thought everyone had the opportunity who wanted to speak did. Those who represented the county, thank you to, where'd Donnie go? Thank you to Donnie Lefevers, our magistrate. Thank you to Joe Hammondtree, our magistrate. Thank you to Chris Douglas. I know I'm forgetting somebody. Debbie's, Judge, well, I got Rick. Debbie for being here. She's our county clerk. And to Judge Executive-elect, Mr. Rick Nelson. Also, thank you to Senator Scott Maiden for calling us. We appreciate that. Devin Frederick, we appreciate that. Before we go, does everybody feel that they were treated fairly in this forum? Okay. Mr. Gibson, did you want to say anything before you leave? Okay, all right. I was going to make sure we keep everybody happy there. I hope we have maybe put a couple things to rest. There's still a lot of questions. Who knew? How long did they know? How come we didn't know? If it was a big project, there would have been, something else going on. There would have been a press conference. There would have been a bunch of TV stations here and all that kind of thing. But thank you to everyone who showed up. I hope to be able to have another one of these soon. I don't know how soon. But before we go, if you missed any of this or your friends missed any of it, it's going to archive on Facebook and YouTube, and then it'll be on our website under Meetings We Cover. And on top of that, we will have the opportunity for another live stream coming up Thursday, and that is when the second reading of the moratorium will take place. Now, there are two things that could happen. One, the magistrates are in agreement, and there are enough votes to pass it. Could be three things, actually. There could be a tie, and in that case, the judge executive makes the final decision. Or there could be not enough votes, and it doesn't pass, and we're back to square one. I'm not going to try to, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, one more time. How could there be a tie if? Because this is going to be the second reading, and one magistrate maybe has the sniffles. One magistrate may not be able to show up. So that is an actual thing that could happen. There could be a tie, and just letting you know what the outcome is that the judge executive would have the final tie-breaking vote. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. It doesn't give you hope, I understand. Without putting myself in the position of the men who are going to be in that little rotunda there, if you can't make it, come and watch on YouTube, Facebook, and we'll do our best to report it as accurately as possible. Now, to the folks who are representing Murray Industries and the developers and their lawyers, if I have said anything out of turn, if any information that we have put out has been erroneous, false, misinformation, or attempted to lead anybody astray, please feel free to contact me. I would be glad to correct anything that I have claimed or any claims that were made here, and I will publicize it, showing that I was incorrect and I was wrong. And to the handful of folks who were detractors about this, you're not in the audience, you didn't show up, you didn't want to make a difference. Have a great night. Be careful going home. God bless.